Let me ask you a hypothetical question. Suppose you're born in Nepal with far less wealth than what you have now. Would you still have pursued this your dream of global peace?
You know, I think the best way to answer that is 60 years ago, Korea was the poorest country in the world. I come from a family that came out of that war. Koreans had nothing. Yet, from nothing, we built something. And from something now, we want to give back to those who do not have. Because usually those who experienced circumstance and situation where they had absolutely nothing are the ones who know the plight the best of those who currently do not have. So you can say that the reason why I'm here in Nepal is I have faith in humanity. And if given the opportunity, I know that Nepal can pull itself up very much like Korea can, and very much like my family. And so I don't think it's a question of starting out with less or where you start out from, because I know many examples of people who started out with nothing but made tremendous difference in the world. It's really about your purpose and your sense of direction that makes the difference.
A common man like me wants to become a service leader. What do you suggest?
Go out there and serve. Do you have legs? Do you have legs?
Yes, I do.
Do you have an arm?
I do.
All right. Do you have a desire to want to make a better Nepal?
Of course.
Go ahead and do it. You know, a lot of it it has nothing to do with resources. It has everything to do with a desire to make a change and make a difference. However small your contribution, if it is being used for a positive purpose to help this nation of Nepal, how can that be a loss for this nation? It's only a benefit. Now imagine if there are 1,000 other people like you. Now you've compounded by a factor of 1,000. What happens if there's 100,000 people like you? Now that you compound that by a factor of 100,000, it makes a huge difference. So it always starts with an individual who wants to make a difference, who has ownership, who has passion. It has nothing to do with resources.
Plus, do you believe that leadership has got anything to do with position, or it can be non-position as well? If I wanted to become a service leader,
Let me tell you that I used to really do a lot of speeches for young people. And
the reason I'm asking this is that people in Nepal have the conception that one has to be in position of power to become a leader, and I think which is really a misconception.
Position has nothing to do with leadership. Position, wealth, power has nothing to do with leadership. Leadership is the ability to inspire others to act in ways that bring about a positive impact in society. Anyone can be a leader. There are a lot of people in position who are doing exactly the opposite. There's a lot of people with wealth who are doing the exact opposite. There are a lot of people with power who are doing the exact opposite. That's not leadership. Leadership is about the ability to be able to inspire others through your desire to want to serve, establish a greater good. That is leadership.
A great example is, I think, Mahatma Gandhi. He never held a position of power.
That's right. And all the founders of the great faith. If you look at all the founders of the great faith traditions, they were all men who had nothing, who had a vision, and who gave everything for the fulfillment of that vision or that calling. You can go through history. Every single tradition, every single culture has their example. That's leadership.
Dr. Moon, I heard that you're a passionate sportsman. You even represented Korea
when I was younger.
for Olympics 1998 and 1992. How did it feel then, and how does it feel now to be able to represent your country in such a huge festival, I would say?
Well, let's decouple. I was a member of the Korean equestrian team in '88 and '92, representing my country in the Olympics. But the work that I'm doing now, I'm not just representing Korea, I don't believe. I think I'm representing a global constituency that shares this dream that I believe is really a universal dream of one family. So when you saw the festival yesterday, the Global Peace Festival yesterday, that wasn't a festival for Korea that represents Korea. It's a festival that represents the collective goal or objective of people in the millions around the world. And that is why I thought it was so historic. In Nepal, during that festival, when you not only had all the religious traditions with the Waters of Peace ceremony, which is a highlight of all of our Global Peace Festivals, but after that, where you had all the political parties that came together, signed a declaration, and said that under the vision of one family under God, that they will reconcile and bring peace to Nepal. I was with VIPs from 12 different nations, as well as with our Nepalese organizers, and especially the Nepalese contingent, because I think the international contingent weren't really as acutely aware of how historic that was. But the Nepalese contingent were saying, this is history. This is unprecedented. So the power of a vision to spark the imagination of people in power, represented by those political parties, to major religious figures representing millions of their faith tradition, to students, high school students, to professionals, medical doctors, I believe was a true testament to how the power of a vision can bring disparate people intergenerationally, politically, religiously, together as one and celebrate the possibility of peace in this nation.
Nothing is more powerful than a vision.
Under one family, absolutely. And as Victor Hugo said, more powerful than an invading army is an idea whose time has come.
Dr. Moon, you studied in Columbia University and later in Harvard University. There's no doubt that they are the best universities in the world. But I'm sure, especially Harvard University where you did an MBA, I don't think they teach peace and spirituality. How did you get into this?
Well, I want to first thank you for giving the schools that I went to such high esteem. I'm sure that there are many schools out there that are as excellent as those universities. I was very fortunate to go and study in those universities. But yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with my own personal faith and the education that I received in my family, as well as my life experience. It's a compilation. I don't know how old you are, but you're a young man. I'm sure it's hard to define where you got all your ideas and all your inspiration, but it's really your life and the impact of not only the schools that you went to, but the people that you've met, what you've seen, what you've experienced, the upbringing that you had, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That makes who you are. It's a tapestry.
Dr. Wood, you seem to be very particularly interested in youth, and we saw that in GPF the other day. Any particular reason you want to reach out to youth?
I think, well, first of all, I mean, if you look at it in terms of a developing world, the developing world demographics are very similar. The majority of your population are under 30. That's not to say that's why I'm interested in youth. I think, to me, young people, because I'm a dreamer, you can say I'm a dreamer. I like to dream big. I like to look towards the future. I really don't spend that much time thinking about what I've accomplished in the past, but continues to look forward. So I think my orientation is more youthful. And usually there's a saying, birds of a feather flock together. So I identify with young people who are continuously looking towards the future and possibility. So I guess there is a more kind of rational, scientific reason why I might be engaged with youth, but there's also more of a artistic, passionate reason why I might be engaged with youth. If that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. What message do you have for the youth in Nepal?
I truly believe it's the youth of Nepal that can bring about the transformation. And I cannot state this. And this is what truly inspired me and got me so excited yesterday, was when I saw the passion in those young people, especially the vision of one family, that desire, the compassion, the desire to want to make change. There's a lot of young people have energy, but they don't have direction. Now, with a vision, they're starting to get direction. They're starting to get a sense of purpose. Things will start to happen. And I think it will be a positive transformation.
Very optimistic.
Excuse me?
You're very optimistic about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, just from the Korean experience, when Korea was devastated by war, what did we have? We had nothing. We had nothing. Except our capacity to dream. And our commitment to change the fate that the cards were dealt to us. And I think if you have that type of attitude here in Nepal, and I believe the young people here they can be the change makers.
What message do you have for the people in Nepal in general, as a service and spiritual leader? Do you want to give any message to these people?
Well, the message that I want to give to the Nepalese people, and the reason why I came here was one, family. I believe that in one sense, Nepal is in a crossroads. I know that this year was a year in which Nepal was to architect a new constitution and birth a new nation. Yet the political impasse is what allowed this constitutional process to be prolonged, which is creating a certain sense of instability. Yet I think before we rush to constitution, we need to start really thinking about what are the key issues that we should be asking to create the type of nation that we want. And that is why I think it's fortuitous that the Global Peace Festival Foundation came here to frame the issue of not forgetting the spiritual principles and values embedded in national conscience.
Thank you very much.